We are here for a session on multilingual sensibilities in Indian literature, South Indian literature. Joining us today is a very eminent and a very diverse panel. We have with us Shri Jayanth Kaikini, creative writer, Shri Carlos Tamilavan, who is a creative writer scholar, Shri Jeyamohan, writer critic, Shri K.R. Meera, writer, and C. Mrunalini was also a writer critic. So a very diverse panel and a very broad topic is what we have today, multilingual sensibilities in South Indian literature. We were talking about this topic a little bit in a WhatsApp group that was helpfully created for us by the Book Brahma team. And in that conversation, Jayanth Kaikini sir said something which I think will be a good foothold to start this conversation with. He said, literature is a window created by writers to connect and understand the human world. So literature is a window through which writers are able to somehow connect with the world. And I think my first question would be, in this window, what is the role of language? It's particularly interesting because in today's panel, we have writers whose mother tongue is not the language that they write in. Jayanth Kaikini sir's mother tongue, I think, is Konkani, and he writes in Kannada. Jeyamohan's mother tongue is Malayalam, and he writes in Tamil. Might be the case for some of the other panelists, I'm not sure. But what role does the language one writes in play in the literature that they create? What is the relationship between literature and language? I'd be very happy if the creative writers can weigh in on this first. Thank you. So please.
Namaskara, good morning. I think by suggesting a very nice question, I have asked for trouble myself. Yeah, that's very, the language, it's a typical Indian problem where what we speak at home is not the language we write in, even otherwise. Konkani, like there are many languages we speak at home, like Konkani, Havyaka, Tulu, Kodava. There are so many, there are so many languages. These are the broader examples I have given. There are hundreds of languages we speak at home. Finer, even in Konkani, there are Goan Konkani, there is Ratnagiri Konkani, there is North Kannada Konkani, there is South Kannada Konkani. Even weddings don't happen because they speak this Konkani and that Konkani. Because then you can't fight in same Konkani. The fluency of fight goes away. See, the point is, it's not, so that's the beauty of it. But the tonality is different, the tonality, the tone. So then when you write, like the Yashwant Chittal, he is a Konkani writer who speaks Konkani at home. So many writers are there. I speak Konkani at home. Vivek Shanbag is a Konkani writer. He speaks Konkani at home. But in our writing, if a Konkani reader reads, he can sense a Konkani tone. He can easily say, Gopal Krishna Pai, he is a Konkani writer. He can sense. And again, there are two different Konkanis. My Konkani is different than Gopal Krishna Pai, Yashwant Chittal's, and Shanbag's Konkani. But so that even difference can also be made out. See, this way, there's a different kind of a role, language role playing happens. But that is the beauty of it. And this is a challenge, I think, for a writer. And I remember when we were very small kids, before we could go to school and learn in Kannada school, our parents will talk in Kannada to hide something from us. Avanige idu kodudu beda and all. Because they thought we will not understand it. but we understood already because we were playing with the kids who talked in Kannada. So like this, so Kannada was a language of secret. See, this kind of a thing, that is the beauty of a language. So that's how I think the language is a very language becomes a element of communication. That's why I'm telling language comes into the. If I'm alone, there is no language, there is no story. Moment the language comes, there is another person. Many times people think the communication means he is communicating with the world. What is that world? There is another person. When he is writing, the reader is unseen, reader is anonymous, but he is another person. People don't imagine there is another person. So the language means there is a society, it's a human world again. So I think I'm talking too much about it, but others should also add to it.
Language as a window to the human world is a great thought. Can anyone add to this, please?
Language and literature. I am reading a book now. Language Instinct. The title of the book is Language Instinct by a professor from Harvard University. Very interesting book. He says language is a part of our body. Just like your eyes, ears. Language also functions like that. And he's a cognitive psychologist. He teaches linguistics and psychology together. The interesting part is he does a lot of tests on the brain by putting cathode and such things, and he is making people speak and record the reaction on the brain. When we speak a language or when we recite a poem, the left hemisphere brightens. And your right hand and left brain are linked. Such, very interesting things are written there. And he is going on writing a lot of books. If you put your finger on the computer and press for the YouTube channel, is Pinker, Stephen V-E-N, Stephen Pinker. Very quite interesting scholar. And he bases everything on Chomsky. Some of you might have a lot of YouTubes by Chomsky calling America as a terrorist state. He is an American and world famous linguist. We all studied linguistics during our post-graduation or above that. And I think, you can, with 2-3 sentences, you can, come around and go to everyone. So instead of asking somebody to speak elaborately, what I want to say is, linguistics, this language and brain are linked together. As we think, language is not something very, trivial. It is a very important part of humanity. And he says, basing on Chomsky's linguistics, there is one root from that all world languages come. So many things. I don't want to take others' time.
The human element to language, I think that's a very well-made point, because there is so much that speaks to the commonality between languages. I'll return to the question about writing in a language other than one's mother tongue. So Jeyamohan sir, your mother tongue is, so even Carlos sir, you are from Kumari district, which is also a border region.
I that experience is quite interesting. I studied.
Sir, maybe I'll come back to that in a little bit.
One point. Okay. I studied from Trivandrum, now called Thiruvananthapuram. Tamil MA in Thiruvananthapuram. So you can understand the link between Malayalam and Tamil. And I was born in a village, he knows, Padmanabhapuram. It was the capital of the erstwhile Triangur state, which was ruled by the Malayalam kings, just like Mysore king. So India was very different. Then I went to Tirunelveli. There DMK was talking about some kind of identity. Then I migrated to Bangalore to understand Kannada. Now I just taught in a department for 25 years about Tamil literature through Kannada. So I have link with all the languages. So
Truly
you can go on to the other persons.
But how does writing in a language that's not your mother tongue work? Can you please reflect on that, sir?
My mother tongue is Malayalam and I am writing in Tamil. People used to ask me, what is the language of my mind? I cannot say that because sometimes it is Malayalam and sometimes it is Tamil. Sometimes I am imagining in Malayalam and writing in Tamil. And sometimes I am imagining in Tamil and surprisingly I am writing in Tamil. So it's going on, it's a very complicated thing. But I claim myself as a writer from Nanjal Nadu, not from Tamil Nadu or from Kerala. So we have a very unique culture. I want to say an incident. A few years back, a person from my Nanjal Nadu, he is a very important Tamil writer. His name is Kumaraselva. He is a very native person. He talked in a literary seminar about some literary issues in his own language, in his own dialect. Immediately somebody asked me to translate it into Tamil. Actually, he was talking in Tamil. So what is the difference? It has a unique style which is very close to Malayalam. So writing in Tamil and imagining in Malayalam creates a very different, very strange effect, which can be called a strange style. We can easily create humor with the element of another language. We can easily create new dictions and new way of expressions if you have another language in your mind. And that third thing is, we have a set of writers in Nanjal Nadu, me, Nanjal Nadan, and even young writers also. We rarely use the common cliches of Tamil mainland. The mainland often fall into cliches because we have another language in our mind. We can easily observe the cliches they use without knowledge in their language. So we can easily avoid these cliches. So a multilingual writer is a blessing. We have our own cultural area to narrate. We have our own imagination to narrate something. And we can use our language in a different way. That's a very important thing. That's a very curious thing in Indian literature. Once I visit Sikkim, the hotel person said, there is nearly 60 languages there in Sikkim. It's a very tiny state, you know. Then I was surprised and I asked him, so then which language you are using to connect with these 60 languages? And he said, he is using Nepali language to connect these 60 languages. Because the Nepalis are doing business with these 60 languages. So it's a very, very, very cute Indian thing that we think in another language, we write in another language, and that you translate it into another language. So if I want to understand my work properly, I have to read it in English. Thank you.
There is, I think, another dimension. One is where your mother tongue is not, your mother tongue is one language and you write in another language. The other is when you're writing in your own mother tongue, like K.R. Meera ma'am, but you populate or you situate your work in different parts of, other places where other languages are spoken. Like Arachar is, I think, set in Bengal, and The Poison of Love is set in Vrindavan. Even Jayanth Kaikini, sir, your Mumbai stories, you lived in Mumbai for a good part of your life. So you come from almost three cultures: Konkani, Kannada, and to some extent the Mumbai culture, as we call it. Your stories, sir, have also been set in Telugu film industry, which is a very different. So how does this sort of, when you write, when you try to inhabit another lingual space, how do you write it? How do you learn about another language culture? How does it translate into the writing? How do you change as a result of it? Can you reflect on this a little bit? Thank you.
It's very easy because human beings are the very same everywhere in the world. And there are only a few permutation combinations of human emotions and conditions all over the world among the human beings and this species. And you can understand, even without knowledge, as Tamilavan sir said, languages in our body, we have a body language as well. So, which enables us to communicate with others who don't speak our language. And I want to point out that we are all speaking about this multilingual sensibility across borders and all, assuming that these languages we write in were born on such and such date when the nation decided that the states were constituted on the basis of language. It is not like that. The languages were there, the cultural elements, the geographical conditions, the historical situations which shaped those languages were already there. It exists like that even now, even after the division of states happened. So I would say that Malayalam, I read Malayalam Quran recently, and one sentence which struck me is that Adil Manusha Rashi Oratta Samudayamayirunnu. I think all the South Indians here will understand this even without translation. Adil, that is, in the beginning, the whole mankind was just one society. So naturally, if we were one society, we would be having the same language. And when we started traveling, we were divided into groups. We were nomads, hunters, gatherers, fishermen, sailors, and we started traveling to different parts of the world, speaking the same language, but acquiring new words and new emotions on the way, depending on the situations, depending on the geography, depending on the plants, animals they came across. Okay, so my new work, that is, the book is in the oven, right now in the oven, has its background in Kazakhstan. So you will ask why Kazakhstan on Kazakhstan. But I found out that the Central Asia and the nomads from Central Asia who crossed the Hindu Kush and came into India, and even before they occupied different parts of India, they came to Kerala also. And they brought their own words as well. Most of the words, most of the food we eat, most of the terms we use to denote different day-to-day activities in Kerala are not from Kerala. So they came from different parts of the world. God knows from which part, because they were kind of Greeks, Africans, Arabs, and Central Asian people, Iranians, who no else, no? So all these words are engraved in this, and we are already in a multilingual. We have already closed, as a species, the human kind has already crossed the linguistic barriers in each and every stage of our development is what what my belief is. And I would share with you something which surprised me when I was in Kazakhstan. For example, they call the word Bala. Bala is denotes child there also. The word Nasr, it denotes kind of drishti, or they have a custom also to protect from evil eye. they make certain, this Nasar Kavach, no? The Drishti Kavach things there also. So I think all these rituals, all these superstitions, all these beliefs, many of the things associated with religious customs which we think it is our own jnana, it is our own vijnana, are not ours at all. They belong to the whole mankind. They came to us because those who had found out, discovered, invented them, traveled all the way to reach us, reach this part of the country or reach this part of the land and shared it with us.
So can I say, even if you write in Malayalam, you are at heart
Even if I write in
multilingual,
Malayalam, I can understand what Bengali at the other part of the country will undergo. And I will say that it is easy for me as a woman to write about the plight of the women across the country, across the world, because we women of all centuries share the same kind of emotional plethora.
I'll maybe go back a little bit. Yeah. No, that was, but I wanted to, say it in a way that will elicit the answer from you. We were talking earlier, I think, about borders. So earlier we were talking about how some writers here are from border regions and the role of the border region in cultivating this linguistic felicity. And you said, well, Telugu almost has no borders. There's been this porousness all through history. So can you shed some light on this? Historically, classically, how have our languages been? How close or how distinct have our languages been?
I'll just say something. It's not just languages. I was talking about literatures. Apart from languages, which I think Carlos sir is the most eligible person to talk about the linguistic aspect of it, I'll be talking about the literatures across borders, because now we are talking about Kannada, Tamil, Telugu and Malayalam being separate because of the linguistic states. But in olden days, all the languages were just together. Geographically, of course, there was some space, but you can't call them borders the way you define it now. So now I would actually say that it was borderless. All our Indian languages were practically borderless at that point of time. Since we are confined to the South Indian languages, what I would like to say is, when I'm talking about literature, you can see how one language sentiment, because the whole point was actually sentiments, multilingual, we are talking about sensibilities, right? Sensibilities crossed over to other languages. So, and I can't take away the Bhakti movement from it if I want to talk about literatures. So the first thing was the Bhakti movement, which started in the 7th, 8th centuries in Tamil Nadu, Alvars and Nainars. And then you have Shankaracharya from Kerala. You already have 2 languages there. And then you have from 10th century, you have 11th rather, Basaveshwara, with Veera Shaivism. And you see 3 major religious sects happened one by one from the 7th century onwards. And they all permeated into the rest of the languages. See, and in 10th century, you have Ramanuja from Sriperumbudur, Tamil Nadu. But whom did he influence? He influenced not just the Tamilians. He influenced Annamacharya to Tyagaraja. The Visishtadvaita was what actually taken up in their compositions. You can see that. And when you talk about Alvars and Nainars in Tamil Nadu, in 16th century, Sri Krishna Deva Raya, who ruled from Hampi, his mother tongue was Tudu. He was Kannada Samrajyaneta. He wrote only in Telugu. He only patronized Telugu poets. And he himself wrote a kavya called Amukta Malyada, which is about a Andal. You can see Krishna Deva Raya himself had 4 languages in him. He didn't write about Telugu poet. He wrote about Goda Devi, Kodai, or Chudugurtananchar, whichever way you call her. So he wrote in his kavya, he was talking about Tamil, Alvar, and he was actually ruling Kannada Samrajya from Hampi, and he was a Telugu writer. And all his poets were only Telugu. So where are the borders there? And in the 11th century, when you have Veerashaiva originated from this place, Karnataka. But of course, Palkurki Somanatha is the person that comes to my mind. While Basaveshwara had his Anubhava Mantapa, where everybody was there, all casteless, genderless society, he tried to reform. You know what a reformer he was. Especially Kannadigas, I don't have to tell who Basaveshwara is. So, did anybody in Kannada write his biography? Basaveshwara's Vachanas we all recite even now. It was a Telugu poet who wrote the biography of Basaveshwara. Palkurki Somanatha of the 12th century, he was very much influenced by Mallikarjuna Panditaraja, who himself was a, Ekalavya disciple, I would say, of Basaveshwara. So from him, he learned that. And Mallikarjuna Panditaraja told Palkurika Somanatha about Basaveshwara. And Palkurika Somanatha ended up writing his magnum opus, Basava Puranam, in Telugu. First time, you have a Puranam about a contemporary human being, contemporary hero of the society, contemporary hero who went against Vaidika Mata, and he was talking about Veerashaivam, a new sect altogether. So here I am already saying Kannada and Telugu are mingling so easily. So Palkurika Somanatha, and then even Nannaya, our own Adikavi Nannaya, who wrote Mahabharata with him, who was the Krishna, he called himself Arjuna, and he called Narayana Bhattu his Krishna, as in Kurukshetra war. What Krishna did to Arjuna, helped Arjuna, how. Similarly, Narayana Bhattu is helping me in writing this Mahabharata. That Narayana Bhattu was a Kannada poet. So, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, these were actually the boundaries that we formed later. And in Malayalam, you have Manipravala. Manipravala is a genre. And what Manipravala, mingling of two languages, that is very much evident from the first kavya of Telugu. So, Manipravala is a common feature of Malayalam and Telugu literatures. So across, even if I can go even up to 17th, 18th centuries, where you have Tanjavur, where you have Nayaka Rajas, and you have even Pratapa Simha, later Maratha king, ruling Tanjavur, all their court poets were Telugu. None of them were Tamil, though it was based in Tanjavur. So you have the first feminist women poet, Muddupalani, in Pratapa Simha's court. So he was a Maratha king, and she was a Telugu poet in his court. So you see, across, if you see, there are a lot of parallels, but these three languages were mingling all the time. Of course, Tamilians had Nayanars and Alvars, and Kannada has, and Malayalam, of course, they had the Shankaracharya, and then Tamilians had Ramanuja too. But unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, Telugu never had an indigenous religious movement. So Telugu was actually taking all religions from other parts. It never had an indigenous religious movement. Absorption. That is the best thing about their language and literature. You can also give a negative connotation to it. Depends upon your point of view. But that is what Telugu is. That's what I'm saying.
It makes any language very alive if it is able to absorb the influences.
Thank you.
No. Thank you so much. This is very helpful to have this sort of a very broad historical overview. What this helps, I think, us in when we read the literatures today, the modern literatures today, I think we are also able to appreciate how close our cultural underpinnings are through this. But maybe I will just ask...
Let me ask you one question, ma'am. Yeah. Do these cultural underpinnings end or begin with that? If you go a little beyond this, we can say that, we can see that Teri Gatha, written by the Buddhist monks, not sannyasins, no? They were actually the first feminist...
I was talking about Telugu only.
Yeah, so even I know the thing.
Yeah, that I know.
Yeah, but everything came from that also. So we always forget about the Buddha tradition and Jaina tradition, which preceded all these religious movements. And we lose a lot of imaginations and what should I say, recordings of the human conditions in those times.
We can continue certain things raised by Mrunalini about Telugu. Now, after independence, there is another characteristic, that is languages become an identity.
That was my next question, but please continue.
So, Tamil is an identity. Kannada is an identity. So, one identity is fighting with another identity. Marathi identity. So, how does it come about? How you are saying, Telugu, everything was observed. Even in Tamil, during that period, before independence struggle, that is 19th century, 18th century, Puranams were written. Basava Puranam is translated into Tamil also. Kannada, it was originally written in Kannada, I think. Telugu. So it is very famous in Kannada. So one Purana goes to other languages also. There was no language barrier. Now, language becomes another reality, another political reality. Making use of that language, you can capture power. How does it come about? How it evolved into another reality? If we talk about that, because recently there were some controversies, which language came from which language and all that, all these things came. So if we are able to talk about that, don't you think?
I think we can focus on the literatures.
Not controversial things.
No, one way to focus this question is to ask, in many languages, there is a strain of having a pure language movement. In Tamil, we have, of course, Tanitamizhakam. I'm sure other languages have this to some extent. My question is, to what extent do they enrich the language? Language, for example, Kottravai, which Jeyamohan has written, is entirely in pure Tamil. I would like to know if, I think any of you can answer. If you may, yes, sir, please, sir.
Yeah, the pure Tamil,
Jayanth Kaikini, sir.
As a professor in Tamil and working in Canada, pure Tamil movement came for some purpose. In 16th century, in Kannada also, there was a pure Kannada movement. So not only in Tamil.
But how does that affect the literature? How does that enrich our literature? Can we please talk about that?
As far as I am concerned, we all, during our young days, we all became members of that movement. But later, we all left it. That happened in my case.
Jayanth, so, you had a point?
Maybe because there was some constraint, there were some rigid rules. But I have never seen, Jayanth has written a very good story about this pure Tamil movement. There is a man always, rocking the chair. He is a pure Tamil movement member. He is always rocking the chair. He is depicted as a kind of psychological case by Jayakanthan, a Tamil writer. Nobody bothered about it. Nobody, wanted to beat him or anything. But I have seen no pure Tamil movement man has written any good creative literature. That's my point of view. Jeyamohan
I support Tamilavan. In my outlook, I would definitely say two things. One is purity and another clarity. These are the wrong words in literature. There is no pure literature or pure language. Actually, mixing and contaminating is good thing in literature. And secondly, ambiguity is the way of literature, right, not the clarity.
Not clarity.
So I always support these two ideas, not purity, no clarity. So I am using my multi-language skill to create ambiguity, not clarity.
Great.
But at the same time,
one main thing, I wrote 2 or 3 works in pure Tamil. One is Kottravai, as mentioned by Suchithra. But I used it as a literary device to create a particular text. I never used a pure language throughout my career. For our next novel, I used a common language, which is very, very interconnected with other languages. So I never support any kind of purity moments, even in language or religion or morality also. Thank you.
Great.
I think I have some time.
Yes, we have time. We have a lot of time.
See, because I think the language, we are talking about language. I think for a writer, experience is the language. Because he is doing to evoke an experience. See, recently I met a very senior woman, Rajalakshmi N. Rao, who wrote most modernist stories in early 50s, then stopped writing in Kannada, who then later became a sannyasin, and now she is still in Mysore. Recently, her book of collection has come. First collection anthology has come by her readers, published. She recently, I met, she said some word, fleeting words. Say, each person has his own capacity to receive love and give love. Something she said. It has stayed with me, you know, capacity to receive love and capacity to give love. Something like that. See, in the same way, the language also has its own capacity to receive love and capacity to give love. And I like that that statement. It has lot of enigmatic, you know, that something is there. I'll give you a couple of things which I experienced in my native place, Gokarna. It is a pilgrim place, Punya Kshetra, where people come from all states, Tamil Nadu, Malayalam, and you know, everywhere, Telugu Desam, everywhere. Because in childhood, people used to come in tourist buses. So I have heard Tamil, Telugu in tourist place. So all languages I could hear. And there was a sadhu in our place. He was a Mauni sadhu. He never talked. He used to come for, you know, asking for afternoon, for rice and for everybody. Because he was a sadhu. Everybody used to give him. We used to envy him because he used to have food from everybody's house of different taste. Anna, saru and everything. So he will come and will give, my mother would give him very fresh food. Like that he will go to everybody's house and then he will eat. There was a temple near our house. We used to go there to study, me and my friend. We used to go there. His name was Kantha, my friend. We'll go there to study and we'll play there actually. We'll go there. And this sadhu, that Mauni sadhu, he will not talk to anybody. In his sleep he was talking. When he was sleeping, in his sleep he was talking, sleep talking. So, but we could not make out what he was talking. That was very interesting. Then my friend was telling me, actually he's talking to the God, he said. He's talking to the God, so we can't understand it. Deva Bhashe, he said. ಅದು ದೇವ ಭಾಷೆ, ಅದು ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ದೇವರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅವನು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಐ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಥಾಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ. ಐ ಆಸ್ಕ್ಡ್ ಹಿಮ್, ಹೌ ಯು ನೋ? ಹಿ ಸೆಡ್, ಐ ನೋ. ಸೊ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ವಿ ರೈಟರ್ಸ್ we also know ದೇವ ಭಾಷೆ. See, it is something different. It's something where, you know, like, so I think language is not the goal. Language is a mean. And language is trying to liberate human, you know, a humanizing moment. An individual's humanizing moment, help that person or character to humanize, use the, you know, language there, and just language, he has to drop that language and evolve. So that's all. The language job is done. And the characters evolve, abandoning the language. That's what I feel. That's what I do in my stories. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So language is not the mean. Language it's a mean. I mean, it is not the goal. Sometimes we harp unnecessarily on language thing. Language is there. It's a way. It's like it's a traffic. You use it as a vehicle. But goal is something else. So that's how it happens. So I always feel, because there are so many things. Experience is the thing. Experience. Literature's main purpose is experience. Like we used to use ink pen. All of us have used in our childhood. Shy pen. And we used to have only one ink pen all through the school. And it used to leak invariably. All our fingers were blue. Whatever you do, whichever soap you use, we used to use even bar soap. That blue will not become clean. But after Ganji Uta, it will become very clean. After using Ganji Uta, it will be very clean. So I still feel that ink has gone into our blood. And that ink is making us write still. See, these things, you know, these experiences, these are the ones, not ideologies, not consciously, you know, picked up, you know, informations. No, these these things which are there, which humanizes, these are the ones. And there are amateur, like amateur Yakshagana in our, like you have Kathakali in this thing, Yakshagana events, they happen. Not the professional ones, the school teacher, the tailor, the cycle repair wala, the mechanic, they all, once in a while, they make Yakshagana. They come, they sit in the makeup room, green room. There is a small mirror, they sit in front of them, small mirror. They remove their shirt, they remove their lungi, they start doing makeup. It is not as exotic as Kathakali makeup, but they do their own makeup. As you watch, slowly, Sudhanva comes out of that small mirror. We are more fond of looking in the, at being in the green room than watching the main show. Because we could see a school peon becoming Sudhanva, a English professor becoming a Krishna, somebody else becoming a Duryodhana, and they all emerged from the small mirror in a small green room, and they took us to another exotic world. And we came back to the routine. So these experiences, that is what literature meant to us. That's what literature is meant to be. I think we have come a bit away from that. I'm not talking about our discussion. I'm talking about in today's times. We have gone to a space where we have come to the utility value of literature, different kind of a thing. Sometimes I was telling my friends yesterday, there are more writers. It's good in a way, but there are more writers than readers. And there are more awards than writers. This ratio, it's very, it's good. It all should happen. But in which way? When I meet writers who have not read books. They don't read books. I met a writer, if I tell him, at least you read one generation earlier readers, he says, no sir, then I'll lose my originality, he says. What should I tell him? I tell him, if you want to, drive, you should learn driving, Baba. If you want to become a driver, you should learn at least learn medical science. Yes, then it's the same way. Science and arts are not different. It's the same way. Many people think arts and science are different. No, they are not different. Same way. This is just like medical science. Both are trying to know and understand and reduce human predicament, human pain. It's the same thing. See, this is how it is. It is a skill. It is a science. Learn, read, think. So that's how it is. So I think I will not take more time.
Wonderful,
so
sir. Thank you. On that note, I think we are almost at the end of our session. Do we have time for audience questions? If there are any questions, do we have time for questions?
I have to say one thing about Mr. Tamilavan told about the identity politics. I think if a writer has a predefined identity as a Tamil or Kannada, he is not a writer. A writer is writing to define his identity through his writing. So I am not a Tamil, I am not a Malayali, and I am not an Indian. I don't belong to any identity. I am creating my identity through my writing. So I am expecting a writer to create his identity through his writing.
Yes, I would like to add one more thing to that. I agree with him, what he said. He is trying to express his identity through his writings. But if someone asks you to write in Kannada only or Tamil only to express your identity, then that is debatable, then that is questionable. There is this question of choice of language as well, the freedom to choose one's own language, one's own culture as well, to how to express ourselves.
If I can train myself for 6 months, I can start to write in English very well. So I'm comfortable in Tamil, so that's why I'm writing in Tamil. But I am writing in Malayalam also.
But what if your government says that you should write in Tamil only? All Tamilians, all Tamil
If somebody says to me that I have to write like this or like in a language, my duty is not to write. My duty is to fight.
Then that is the fighting. That exactly is a way of fight, to write in other languages as well, sir. That's my...
I personally think we write in the language we are more comfortable with. We write in that language because I express myself best in Telugu. Why do I write in Telugu? Maybe I can write in English. There are sometimes when a few phrases actually appear in English in my mind. But when I write, I don't write in English. I turn it into Telugu. Like somebody was saying that they were somebody thinking of some other language. It may happen. But why do we write in the language? Because we love the language. We are able to express ourselves best.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not disputing that. I am pointing out, or I am worried about a situation whether some other people will be commanding or demanding in which language you should write and think and read.
Then I agree with Jayanth. We have to fight.
We have to fight. And that's a fight I am.
That is what you were talking about, the purity of language.
So there
in
is,
Telugu too,
there comes the identity of the language.
Yeah.
There comes the identity of language, and there only comes the identity of language. That is what
that's the identity I was talking about when you're talking about purity. Purity of language, it wasn't actually purity. That word was not used in Telugu, but was a standard language was used in Telugu earlier. So Pramanika Bhasha. So everybody used to write in coastal Telugu dialect. And only for the past 30 years, people have started writing in their own area, language, the linguistic dialect of theirs. So that is because they're most comfortable with it. And it was not accepted earlier. Like in China, when I was asking one of the professors there, how many languages do you have? He said 52. Then I said, so you have 52 types of books? He said, no, everybody writes in Mandarin. No book is accepted if anybody writes in their local language. Luckily for India, we are very, very fortunate that we write in our own dialect and we get away with it and we are appreciated. So there is nothing like a purity of language. That's what I wanted to say once again.
I request Book Brahma to have a translator's bank for South Indian languages, where you can take loan of one translator for one language, and that will be wonderful, no? A bank of translators.
We did not even get into translation today, but this was a wonderful panel anyway. I thank the panelists for their time. Thank you very much.